This red leather T-shaped item was discovered in an upscale British club in London. It features padding, studded details, and a handle on top. Despite searching terms like leather T-shaped stool and antique British club furniture, I haven't been able to identify it. Any thoughts on its purpose? Someone suggested that it might be a footstool, but I've always known stools like this to be called gout stools. This is just one of the many styles and designs they were made in. Gout stools were considered a status symbol due to gout's association with wealth and overindulgence in rich foods and alcohol. They were part of a broader cultural understanding of gout as the disease of kings, or rich man's disease. In addition to providing physical relief, gout stools feature prominently in period art and literature, often used to symbolize excess and the consequences of an overly luxurious lifestyle. While exploring the basement of the university's agricultural process engineering department, I stumbled upon a peculiar tool that immediately caught my attention. Measuring about 70 centimeters in length and seemingly over 20 years old, it features a ratchet mechanism and a sharp, threaded top. Its design suggests it might be used to open or break something apart, though its exact purpose remains unclear. Despite my efforts, talking to people from the department and searching online for common tools, I've been unable to identify it. Any ideas what this thing is? It's a ratchet drill, also known as a boiler wrench. This tool was designed for drilling in tight spaces. The drill bit would be attached to the opposite end of the pointed part on your item. While helping a friend clean, we stumbled upon a curious little object with an unknown origin. It's quite small, about the size of a 5-cent coin, but surprisingly solid and heavy for its size. On the back, it bears the letters CYBB, although the first B could possibly resemble a 6, as the top curve seems to be missing. The front of the object features a striking design, a black cross, identified as a cross potent, and a symbol in the center of a blue circle that remains a mystery. Despite scouring online resources, I haven't found anything similar to the central symbol. Does anyone know what it is? This is the Ukraine Combatant's Cross, a decoration established in 1940 but issued only in 1947 by Ukrainian emigrant veteran societies to reward veterans of the Ukrainian War for Independence of 1917 to 1920. He still has no idea how he came to possess it, but it has been identified as a 1945 Ukraine War Memorial Cross. This appears to be a container with a pressure gauge extending from the top. On the left side, there is a metal rod that can be raised and lowered. The writing on the pressure gauge reads, Maschinen U Armaturenfabrikform. C. Louis Strube, Aktiengesellschaft Magdeburg-Buckau, number 144768. It seems to be quite old, standing approximately 1.5 feet tall and entirely constructed of metal. I've tried searching terms like old pressure measurer and Louis Strube patent, but the only relevant result was for a different invention entirely. Its history and purpose remain unknown. What could this device have been used for? It is a pressure chamber used to demonstrate the ideal gas law. The lever is a pump to increase pressure, and there should be a hold where a thermometer can be inserted to show the increase in temperature as pressure is increased. It can also be heated from below with a Bunsen burner. A coworker of mine discovered a few of these around our workplace. Beer cans attached to streetlights with zip ties. Each can has a small hole on the side, and inside, there's some paper along with something that sparkles. We work in a high-security building where scientific research takes place. Any idea what it could be? This is a solar graph pinhole camera, designed for long exposures, 1 to 2 weeks. The paper inside is photographic paper that reacts to light, but since it has been exposed to daylight without being processed in a dark room with photographic chemicals, it's been ruined. The sparkly beads are likely silica desiccant, used to keep the paper dry and protected from humidity. It seems like my friend accidentally ruined someone's photo project. However, we plan to carefully place the paper back into the can, seal it tightly with opaque tape, and cover the tiny pinhole with tape. This might give us a chance to save the image for the artist. I found this deep in my church's storage. It appears to have a compartment for a battery, several lights, and even a knob that only clicks when twisted. It seems to be from the 70s and is mostly made of aluminum. The only thing I can think of is that it might have been some sort of tithe device, but it doesn't seem to open. Does anyone know what it is? I believe it's an electric prayer candle. It's an electric candle lighting device typically used in churches. When you insert a coin, the LED light on top illuminates, simulating a lit candle. Traditionally, with prayer candles, you would tithe and then light a regular votive candle for the person you're praying for. However, starting in the mid-20th century, some churches began offering these electric alternatives. Depending on the setup, you either inserted a coin into a slot and the candle automatically turned on, or you placed money in a collection box and manually activated the candle. A device found in a church that says "please" on it only has one meaning: money. It's some sort of offering collector. I've had this for about 15 years. I used to play with it as a kid while pretending to be a soldier. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks like it might be something that drops from an aircraft. It's 140 centimeters long, with flaps near the top that fold into the main body, and there's a small metal nose cone at the bottom that unscrews and detaches. Despite its size, it's very light. I have no idea where it came from originally. I know it must have had a couple of owners before me. I found it in a pile of my dad's old stuff, but he can't remember where he got it from and had completely forgotten about it. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't damage it too much as a kid. It's a really cool piece to have around. Any idea what it might be? This is a piece of Vietnam War history. These devices were used during Operation Igloo White. This particular piece appears to be either an ADSID, air-delivered seismic intrusion detector, or an ACOUSID, acoustic and seismic intrusion detector. The camouflage paint still visible is original, as the primary purpose of these devices was to listen for activity without being detected by the enemy. These devices did not contain explosives. I found this object made in England, about 4 inches high. Lever lifts up and can be unwound from cylinder, which is leather-covered and has a company name on it. The base of cylinder is covered in felt. Have discovered that the metal assembly unscrews and comes out of a plastic cylinder slightly smaller in diameter than the outer leather. Diameter of cylinder very nearly 1 inch, would not fit into a regular wine bottle, I've checked. Does anyone know what it is? It's a bottle stopper, possibly for wine or port, but more likely for a personal decanter. The fact that it doesn't expand makes sense if it's designed for decanting, as the leather would be gentler on glass. You'd dispose of wine bottles, but not your decanter. It's also a bit too large for regular wine bottles. I bought this huge old wooden hammer at a yard sale in Northern California. The handle is 30 inches long and it weighs 15 pounds. The seller had no information about its history. What kind of task would this hammer have been used for? Wooden mallets are generally used to strike objects without causing damage, as a metal sledgehammer would harm delicate materials like wood. This mallet appears to be designed for driving wooden stakes into the ground, as a metal sledge could potentially break or split the wood. In the past, carpenters would use wooden mallets to position timber when framing houses. Given its size, this mallet wouldn't be suitable for driving chocks or dowels, tasks that could be done with one hand. This is a large mallet, likely intended for driving substantial objects into other large objects. While metal sledges are used to drive angle iron through pavement, this mallet likely had a role in old circuses where it was used to drive large wooden stakes into the ground. It wouldn't have been used to strike metal or any material harder than wood.